Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Dr. Nasir Sheikh Show. I'm your host, Dr. Nasir. And what's on tap for today, folks? Well, we have got a great video clip. It's from the Patrick Bet David podcast. I love this guy, folks. He is absolutely phenomenal. I just love everything about him, his company, Valuetainment. We're going to do a reaction video in a couple of parts here. And they're talking about President Trump and what's happening with his company, Truth Social. And is he going to need it to move forward, or what's happening in regards to all that? Let's get to that video clip right now.
Truth Social cut staff as his SPAC languishes. This is a Bloomberg story. Trump Media and Technology Group, the parent company of Truth Social, has laid off about half a dozen people, including senior members of its ranks, such as the chief technology officer, which, by the way, that's in a technology company.
Yeah.
That's like number one above everybody else. William B.J. Lawson.
It's like you wake up in the morning and fire your own heart.
That's tough right there. Yeah. The company
Done.
The company that's actually a good joke, Tom. That's two in a row. Okay, so the company estimates it can fund operations through September at present spending levels. Trump media executives were once optimistic about the advertising revenue Truth Social could generate, but the reality of launching an advertising business has proved more complicated. Truth Social monthly web and desktop visits reached a high of 11.5 million in visitors in August 2022, but have seen a decline. Holy moly. This is a real number, to 5.7 million in February. So 11.5 million to 5.7 is a little over 50%, 51%. So here's what I think, and I want to get your thoughts and you guys can talk about this. This could help him out. Why? Here's why. How long has he been free to post on Facebook, Twitter? For a while, Instagram, right? But he hasn't, okay? Why? He's trying to drive value to Truth Social, SPAC, money, all these people, your friends, they put up money. Here's 5 million, here's 10 million, here's 50 million, whatever the number is, right? You're raising it. SPAC is a very, very risky thing. And it's probably the worst time ever that they had a SPAC. Possibly the worst time ever when they did the SPAC, at the tail end of a peak of SPACs, when all these guys were doing SPACs. We almost did a SPAC, Tom, for $400 million. You remember that? Last minute we had a meeting, we decided we're not doing it. By the way, we were like all the way in to decision on a Zoom. Nope, we're moving on, we didn't do it.
Make a pass point for those of you listening.
Yeah.
It was a profitable company that had been profitable for many years.
Yeah, our EBITDA was a solid EBITDA.
Yeah, we weren't trying to go out and be a public company just because we were a profitable company.
And we wanted to go out.
And and even we decided no.
Everybody we called, they said, if you would have done it 5 years ago, yes, this is the worst time to do a SPAC. So if Truth goes under.
Well, for those of you that are wondering, what is a SPAC? SPAC. It's a special purpose acquisition company. It's basically it is a company that is formed, and it is a publicly traded company that is used to either merge with or acquire an existing company that's out there. And that's exactly what Donald Trump and his investors were doing. They wanted to form, Trump Media Group, and they're using a SPAC, which is out there. It's publicly traded. I think it's DWAC. I think that's what that is, or whatever. And you can buy stock in it. And eventually the time comes when they acquire or merge with it. Now, as Patrick has been saying here, is that it wasn't the best of times to get into SPACs, because all these entities, whenever you got Wall Street and they have some type of a entity or some type of a business deal or a business model that just absolutely, they think is just great. Well, everybody gets in on it immediately. And they just bankroll it, and they just make bank, folks. They just make billions and billions of dollars on it. Well, eventually, the steam runs out. Now, it may have been that, Trump and his investors thought that they were going to be able to ride this out, or they were, getting in at that time, and they felt, okay, let's move forward with it. Who knows what's going to happen? But, to lose 50 to over 50% of subscribers or whatever, and ad revenue and stuff, that's how. But I've always said that if Trump Social were to go down, well, folks, guess what? He still has tremendous amounts of other social media avenues for him to go through. And once he gets back onto Twitter, once he gets back onto Facebook or Instagram or those others, Twitter, can you imagine what his first tweet is going to generate out there? and the amount of ad revenue and the amount of subscribers that's going to bring forward to Twitter if social, because he's got to be on Truth Social now. He's got to be there until the very end. Anyways, let's continue.
Not fully committed to posting stuff on Truth, so he's going to be active on what? Twitter, Facebook. So maybe Truth Social going out of business could actually help his campaign.
I agree completely, because the reason people like Trump and what I like the most about him is because both his foes and his friends every morning would wake up and be like, what is this asshole tweeting about now? Right? Like I could, the fact that when you had the Democrats going to a military base overseas and he pulled their permission slips and they just circled the bus around and then kind of get off the bus, that was the funniest shit ever. So him on Twitter was what got him the presidency. It was integral to him getting the nomination and getting the presidency. And
I don't think it was actually all about that. It was Twitter. Twitter actually helped, but I think they're overemphasizing the effect of Twitter. He was still able to get his message out. He was on every major, alphabet network. He was on MSLSD. He was on, Never Been Conservative NBC. He was on, the Cabal News Network CNN. He was on anything but conservative ABC. I mean, come on, Fox News. I mean, every single, entity out there, Newsmax, all the new fledgling, social media upstarts, they were just 24 hours, 7 days a week. He showed up at a rally. He was there. His message was getting across. Now, did it help that obviously, Facebook was out there too, Instagram, Twitter, put his tweets out there. But yes, so it had an integral part to it, but I don't think it was the thing that, launched him up over the top in terms of that. Is it important? It damn is. It damn well is important, all right? But I don't think it was the single most entity. At least that's my opinion. Anyways, let's continue.
It would behoove his campaign to have him back on it, despite all the people who were like, take his phone away from him. That said, he hasn't been on Fox in months. The vast conservative media establishment has turned their backs on him. He's not fresh like he was in 2015, where no one's seen anything like him before. I think it's going to be very hard for him to regain that fire that he had now almost a decade ago.
I have to disagree here completely with this guy here. That fire is there, but you're talking about right now, nobody cares about the election. It's like almost 2 years away. It's like next year, literally, right? So people are like going, they have their lives to live. But once this comes down, the summer of 2024, I'm telling you folks, that summer leading into, the fall months, leading right up into the election, it's going to be, you think that when he starts going and doing his rallies all over the United States, then you're going to have 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people packed in there to see this thing here? Absolutely. Because you know what's happening. The Biden administration, it's just in a free fall right now, folks. Nothing is going to, I wish I could say that things are going to change, but their policies, everything that they're doing, is there anything at all that you see out there that looks like that they're changing course at all, that could change the course of the economy, of anything like that? Look at all the things that are happening. So when Trump starts to go out there and he's got either, whether it's Truth Social is still out there, or if he's now on Twitter or Facebook, and he's out there and you don't think that these companies like CNN and the alphabet networks, you don't think they need ad revenue to be generated? Of course they do. They're going to be covering him once again. And then obviously now with this whole thing in terms of what's happening, whether he's going to be indicted, whether he's going to be charged, that's going to be another unbelievable circus show that's going to be out there that's going to generate even more, literally value for him. Free publicity. It's going to galvanize his base. It's going to, piss off, independents who are thinking that they're weaponizing the DOJ and the FBI and the Attorney General's offices across the United States and various states, obviously going after Trump. You're going to have some of those blue dog Democrats or Reagan Democrats, those are going to say, hey, enough is enough. They're going to come back. So this is just going to be an absolute win-win-win situation for Trump, no matter how, you look at it.
I can't believe you guys think this is actually be a good look for him. I hear where you're coming from, because if you want to win a national election, you're going to want to be on all the major social media platforms. You're going to want to be on Twitter. You're going to be on Facebook.
You have to.
National megaphone.
You have to. But there's a reason. There's a reason he's not using it right now, because he's doubling down on his SPAC, Truth Social. I would argue that the worst thing to ever happen to Donald Trump on a social media situation is Elon Musk taking over Twitter. Okay, because Elon Musk has basically enabled Twitter to be a free speech platform. That was the whole point of Truth Social. So the whole marketing agenda was like, this is a free speech platform, come join us, this is where it is. All it has turned out to be is a right-wing echo chamber. I don't know any moderate or even liberal that's even going close.
Or even conservative who's just not MAGA.
Look at, Tom just pointed it himself. He's like, I don't go there. So the last thing that Donald Trump's got, some may argue that he's got thin skin. Some may argue in order to make it to where he's at, he has to have thick skin. We don't know what exact type of skin he has.
It's orange.
It's orange, we know that. But the last thing that he wants to be labeled is a loser. Okay? And you're about to say that he is a loser. Well, I would argue, he's won a bunch more than he's lost, but lately he's been losing. But I don't think this is a good look for his brand. So what's his brand? Whether it's Trump hotels, Trump casinos, Trump steaks, Trump's waters. A lot of these businesses have failed. So now you're telling me the one business, Michael, the one business you've been working on since you lost the election, Truth Social, is now going to fail? Tell me how that empowers him to be the president of the United States again. Well, I don't see it.
Now, he brings up a valid point that this is the one thing that's really been associated with President Trump, is that he's trying to get Truth Social off the ground. And listen, folks, I mean, he's had everything against him, and obviously subscriptions are down, and people are not gravitating to that because Twitter is still out there. And now with Elon Musk coming into the picture and basically making it a platform for free speech for anybody, well, that has sort of allowed Twitter to sort of regain. I guess it was always the biggest name out there. It will always remain so, I believe. I don't think anyone's going to be able to take Twitter down. If it fails, it's going to fail of its own accord. But there's not going to be another company, I don't think, that can come up to that same stature as Twitter. And so for Trump to be now labeled that Truth Social is starting to show signs of cracking and is on the verge of bankruptcy, perhaps, maybe, they're laying off some people. You know what? He makes a point that in the short term, yes, they're going to try to throw this, at the Teflon Don. But eventually what's going to happen is Truth Social is going to hit that Teflon and just slide right off. And it's just one of those things. You had a business, not every business succeeds. You tried it and failed. But if Truth Social goes out, that's what's been limiting. I really think that Trump wants to go. I really think that he would love to be back on Twitter, but he's got to stay with, Truth Social until the very end, basically, and then decide when he's gonna, when is the time to basically, say, what, we can't continue to operate on Truth Social, and basically let it go into bankruptcy or whatever happens to that, and then once that's over, all bets are off, and boom, it's right back there. So yes, in the short term, it's going to hurt him. The media is going to go after him. They're going to try to plaster him, but they've tried to do that with everything else that's out there, okay, folks? I mean, his taxes, his businesses, his this, his that, everything. Nothing has been able to stick. People say, you know what? Okay, so what? Okay, big deal. Anyways, let's continue.
I don't think Truth Central, as he called it, Truth Central, is going to be central to his brand or his identity. I think he's riding on, I was the former president, I'm the one who could take on Biden, I had results in the past, I'm going to have results in the future. What MAGA people don't appreciate is that his last year in the White House, he took L after L after L after L. It was an entire year of L's. It wasn't, and the fact that even if you regard the election as having been stolen, the fact that they were able to drag this carcass across the finish line, if he couldn't stop that in 2020 with the power of the White House behind him, how is he going to stop that in 2024 with the power of the White House against him? Now, you could argue that whoever they put up, they're going to take it. He doesn't have a chance. I can wrap my head around that argument, but that's not a good argument for Trump specifically, as opposed to someone who's won.
But one could also argue without COVID, Trump would have beat Biden pretty fairly.
But I think a lot of these MAGA people think that no matter what happened, it would have been stolen from him.
Yeah, well, we've seen what's happened with the Fox lawsuit with Dominion, and
I'm just saying that's there. I'm not saying if you're trying to talk to some supporters, that's that's where they are.
But so I guess as an odds perspective, I love getting the odds. Like this wouldn't 100% hurt him. It wouldn't 100% enable him. Like, give me the odds of why you think this would be good versus bad. I think this would be a bad look for his Truth Social SPAC to fail.
I think you were talking about two different things. You're talking about it would be an L on his business legacy and bother his ego. I think Pat was talking about something else.
Yeah.
I think both of
And so here's where I just want to basically end this and say that the whole bottom line is, and I'll basically say this, and I've said this before, True Social going out, short-term hit for Donald Trump, his enemies, also people within the media establishment, even the rhinos, the establishment Republicans, they're all going to go after him, and either through themselves or through their proxies, and basically say, hey, look, this guy couldn't even get, True Social off the ground. Another failure, as they said, in the loss column. Okay, fine. News cycle, some other story comes up, boom, you know what? That's wiped off the board, and it's on to the next news cycle and on to the next news story. Long term, this is going to be, if True Social does go out, and I think in terms of him winning the presidency, I really feel that True Social needs to be put out of the picture. It would be one of the best things that if True Social goes out, yes, bad for the investors, bad for people inside there, but look, this happens that's not the only business that it goes bankrupt in a year, in a day, in a month, or a week on Wall Street or around the country, around the world. If it goes under, it goes under. But if someone were to tell me, Donald Trump, presidency, True Social has to go away, guess what? True Social, go away. Anyways, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. You've been watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I've been your host. My name is Dr. Nasir. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow us. Put your comments down below. What do you think of Patrick and his guests in terms of seeing what they thought about True Social and how that could hurt or help Donald Trump? This was part one of the show. I'll leave you with my final thought, which is when you're right, you're right, and when you're left, you're wrong. We'll see you again next time, folks. Take care and stay safe.